I think Alon is joining, right?
Yeah, he's joining in a few minutes. Yeah, he just finished a call.
Just think about it right now. Everything's okay. No matter where
Is Lior
you
joining
find yourself
today?
No matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life.
I don't think
he's
so.
joining in
He's
a
not
few
on the
minutes.
list of
Yeah,
speakers,
underneath it all,
so
everything's
he
actually
doesn't
all
need
right.
to join. I'm just here for showing my face around. Don't have a slot.
We've missed your
You have
face.
more power than you might be giving yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging, painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. You're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime you choose. About it right now, everything's okay. No matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything's actually all right. You're okay. You have more power than you might be giving yourself credit for. And if you have something that's going on in your life right now that's challenging, painful, it's just a reminder to take a little bit better care of yourself. You're worth it. You can have this feeling anytime you choose. no matter where you find yourself, no matter what kind of stuff is going on in your life, underneath it all, everything.
All right. Hey, everyone. It's been a little while since our last updates, mostly because we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. You'll see a few more new faces today. You'll hear a few more plans and activities that we're working on. The network is growing, so we need more people to talk about what we're doing. Pretty hard to cover everything that's happening, and that's why we're bringing the experts to cover different topics. So before we get started, today we're going to be, going around the different participants. Shad joining us again, head of the marketing, is going to present a bit of what he's been working on. After that, we have Alon and Lior from the core team talking a little bit more about the development roadmap ahead and everything that has to do with the tech side of things. We won't dive too much into details. If any of you want to read more into it or want to ask questions, you know where to find Lior, you know where to find us on Discord, same place as always. After that, we have Fod talking about a very exciting venture, essentially the grants program. It's going to be a big focus for us moving forward. And last but not least, Spooky G is going to cover everything that has to do with the DAO, with the treasury, everything has to do with the money that the network is managing, essentially. So it's going to be quite packed today. We'll make sure to update you guys after, and we'll make sure to create video snippets so you guys can see exactly what went on. But without further ado, please welcome Shad. Shad, the stage is yours, man.
Hey everyone, so I'm just going to screen share. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Hey everyone, this is my first real update on the community call, so I'm pretty excited to get through everything. It'll only take 10 or 12 minutes, don't worry. I won't bore you with too much. First of all, on the right-hand side, you'll see a beautiful picture of Madison with my dog, Ishi, in Amsterdam. Of course, we just got back from Amsterdam. Ariel did a great job on setting everything up, and it was super productive. Also got some great merch. Today, I'm going to just give updates. What's been going on in the DAO, what's actually happening, what's happening in the future, and all of this good stuff. So first of all, let me make it super clear that the DAO is operating at less than 1% of its current potential. It's really just starting off, and all of the focus right now is making sure that we get it to its potential. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means focusing on two main things. First of all, positioning SSV as the authority in 2.0, right? Everything to do with the merge should be synonymous with SSV, and bringing the DAO to a level of operational maturity such that it can actually operate as a DAO autonomously. Let's speak about those two things quickly and then move into the details of how we're going to execute on that. So positioning SSV as an authority, first of all, means having the core, most prominent, highly engaged, cult-like community in all of Ethereum, specifically talking around all things staking, the merge, strategies, derivatives, validating, and all that good stuff. Currently, this is up for grabs. No single project or person has this, and we're perfectly placed to have it. As a neutral Switzerland that works with many different service providers, partners, you name it, we see the industry as a whole, and we play with everyone. So we're perfectly positioned for it. And second, it's important that we become the trusted source for key information around the merge, the innovations of the merge. It's little known, but a lot of the work that we do on the tech side is like really innovative. We're driving forward the standards that the Ethereum Foundation and others will use in the future. And tailing on that, our community, our branding, and our positioning should also be the same. It should be the ones pushing forward everything. That means having the biggest brains and the brightest minds right in our Discord. We already are off to a great start. The demarketing team is some of the smartest minds in 2.0. Yorick was emceeing our event in Amsterdam as a quick example. So positioning is going to be super important, and it's not just a community thing. It's not just releasing materials. It'll also be about how we present ourselves. I'll come on to that just a little bit later. Second, it's all about DAO maturity. This is a big blocker we have to get through as the DAO is relatively new and there's lots of things to transition through. The two main focuses here are very clear. First of all, is to have a crystal clear way for anyone to contribute and engage with governance. So whether it's proposals or whatever it may be, it has to be super simple and obvious and potentially incentivized. Second, we need very friendly and clear paths for anyone at any level of time commitment to join a DAO if they're willing and able to do so. We're working super hard on that. Those two things will be a great kickstart to allowing the DAO to, let's say, flourish organically without the core team's presence constantly pushing it. And that's what we have to work towards as fast as possible. So, operations. We're doing lots of things operationally in the background, which is all going to be open sourced on Notion. You're all going to be able to see exactly what the DAO is executing upon and how it works. A few things that we've started doing, most notably, is working groups, which are essentially small committees of 4 to 8 people who specifically focus on certain things, such as you see on the left-hand side of the screen, treasury and budget, marketing and growth, or it might be the grants committee. Each of these things were previously unstructured, and now we're moving into a more structured approach with like actual tasks and execution to go forward and carry out these tasks. Second, as you see in the middle of the screen, we have all of the execution completely open sourced, and this will continue to get more open sourced, allowing anyone from the community or core teams to submit ideas, but also allowing anyone to contribute, whether it's a small contribution, such as an article or a translation, whether it's a grant or a project, or whether it's a core contribution where you want to get hired full time. As you may have noticed in our discourse, we've also been slowly improving that, whether it's proposal templates, we've started creating the new onboarding for discourse, so it's much clearer how to get involved, less scary. We've started standardizing the way we create proposals, introducing SIP, and we're also creating key infrastructure in proposals, such as the hiring guidelines, to allow anyone to contribute to the DAO, right? So really fundamental DAO infrastructure, which isn't in place, we're trying to get in place. Like I said, formatting it down to working groups, formatting the governance forums for suitability, initial kickoff proposals such as the hiring, and really important is clear pipelines for people to join at any level, whether you're just an observer and you want insights to just talk the talk markets, talk distributed validator technology in general, just to observe what's happening, whether it's to become an ambassador and to share our project worldwide, to translate, to build articles, to do what you can in your spare time, whether it's to become a grant or project-based contributor, or whether it's to be a core contributor. All of these pipelines need to be built in a way such that it's not funneled or bottlenecked by any given team, and it can flourish organically. Really, really important, and that's a big focus for me going through the summer. Moving on, community. I'll let Patricia go deep into community if she wants to. She's the one that's been helping me the most with this, along with Dean. And there's a few key things we're doing here. So first of all, there's a huge Discord cleanup. As you may have noticed, being a community member, there's lots of different channels, lots of things going on. It's not necessarily so clear what's going on or where you should contribute to a conversation. We want it to be abundantly clear where the conversation should take place. And that means concentrating on just a few channels. Moreover, when people first come to the community, we want the onboarding to be very engaging and to offer actual value. So one thing we noticed is that we as a team, as a DAO, as a community, assume a very high level of education on the general topic of the merge, Ethereum 2.0, proof of stake, how the technology works, and so on. But in matter of fact, in reality, most people have very little education or insight onto this topic. They might just know a few bullet points around it. And therefore, there's really a logical argument to make to educate people on the merge first before trying to educate them on why SSV is important. Because it's very hard to understand why SSV is important unless you truly understand how validators work, how they use their keys, and how the technology of proof of stake works in general. Finally, with regards to the community and the concentrating of the community, we'll be setting up the staking societies, which is what you can consider analogs to the alpha chats that you might see in NFT groups, basically specific channels focused on providing alpha and value. For us, this is very clear. This is anything to do with validation, staking strategies, or other things surrounding the market, which might be useful to our community. Really, the way you can think of it as a place for anyone to hang out at any time of day and have fun and learn something and potentially even offer their own value. It's not customer support. It's not strictly speaking about SSV. It's not strictly speaking about one specific thing. It's more of an open place to actually hang out and gain and give value. By the way, all of this, including the work, you'll be able to see in our Notion. It'll be all open sourced. Finally, more on the marketing side, what's happening now and what are we going to do like as a DAO? So as you may notice, kind of two marketing teams, but we work very closely together. There's a Blocks marketing team who have brought everything up into this point. They do all the events, branding, everything you can imagine, headed up by Aron. But the DAO needs to also focus more on the external marketing and how we bring in community, how we appear on Twitter, and so on. So the first big event that we're going to carry out is called The Merge. It's an 8-week series of speakers, high-profile speakers from the industry that speak on the topic of the merge. Very simple. The formats will be about an hour long, most likely, with some sort of Q&A at the end of it on Twitter Spaces, where all of you, I would love your support. Please do show up. All of you can listen in to the conversations and learn real deep insights from specific key leaders in the industry, core Ethereum builders, experts, and so on. The reason we're doing this, again, as I pointed out in one of the first slides, is that for me, I think it's really important that we position almost synonymously with 2.0, that we are this trustless authority on everything to do with 2.0. And hosting and creating this series of events, I think is going to help us get there. Moreover, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, we're working super hard on other things. For example, sourcing dedicated marketing talent to the DAO, whether it's on social or different aspects. We're working quite hard on branding, which I'm probably going to bring next week. It won't be visual branding, it'll be copy, messaging, this type of stuff, a move away from not your keys, not your ETH, the more blocks messaging to SSV specific messaging. And we're also doing big growth hacks, which is currently being headed up by Matty and Adam. But I think this is going to be super epic. So that's it in general. What's the most important thing? The most important thing is that if you're a fan of SSV, if you believe in Ethereum, if you believe in proof of stake, if you feel somehow morally obligated to contribute to the financial future of the entire world, it might sound exaggerated, but that's how I see it, then you should engage with us. We're the ones decentralizing, creating safety and supporting the entire Ethereum network. It's definitely a place worthwhile of giving some time and value. If you do want to do that, first of all, I suggest checking out our research report on the forum on key areas where we need extra value. And second, you can just message me on Discord, or you can message in the general channel in Discord. I'm sure Dean will be happy to put you in the right place. Let me just finish my little monologue with saying that the DAO is reliant on core contributors and the community in general. So if you, a person who's engaged enough to watch this, doesn't contribute, then who will? That's all. Thank you. I'm going to pass the ball to someone I helped bring in, Patricia. Yeah, Patricia, please go ahead. I'll stop sharing also.
Thanks, Shad. So, hi guys. So my name is Patricia, and I'm just gonna give a very quick introduction about myself, just so you guys know me a little more about me. So I'm Chinese. I grew up in China, but right now I'm based in the UK. I'm currently doing a degree. It's called PPE, so it stands for Philosophy, Politics, and Economics. It sounds a little bit complicated, but it's a combined degree, and like get a bit of everything from the social aspects, and then also that's possibly why I'm super interested in the DAO space. Just like really like doing some research on like on-chain fairness and decentralization. So as Shad have mentioned, we're just coming back from Amsterdam, and we were there with the SSV team, and we were talking to projects like Lido, like and Yokepur. And the things I'm currently focusing on SSV is mainly just to help Shad on the community and marketing side. We're currently working on like the community onboarding Notion guide, just to make sure like everyone that's just came landing in the community are able to get up to pace with everything happening in SSV, like in the ETH2 in the merge. So they'll perfectly understand what the SSV is about. And we're also like working on the Discord restructuring, and that's going to be possibly rolled out pretty soon. That's basically everything about me, and I'll pass the ball to Lior for a bit more information on the fork.
I'll jump in before that. Thanks, Pat. That was great. You guys will be hearing and seeing a whole lot more of Pat and Shad. Just to give you just a general idea of what's going on, we're going to be introducing a lot more tools. Shad touched a little bit on Notion. It's one of many things that you guys will be able to use for us, to give us a way to update you on everything that's going on, because there's so many things going on. So we'll make sure everything is there on Notion. We will, alongside the revamp of what we're working on the marketing side, we will launch it together. Until that happens, let's hear a little bit from the core developers, Lior and Alon. They're going to talk a little bit more about the roadmap ahead and what you guys should be expecting from the technological perspective. Again, high level, if you guys need more information, you know exactly where to find us. We don't want to bore you to death. Take it away, Alon.
Hey, everyone. Let me share my screen real quick. Let me know if you see everything.
Yes.
Perfect. So I wanted to talk about the next 3 months, because there are going to be a lot of changes, a lot of deployments for different versions of the network that we've been working on for actually the past 3 or 4 months, actually. And so this is kind of the general overview of the next 3 months up until the end of July. So we are currently, let's say, mid-May. And we have a few stops along the way until we get to the next Testnet V2, and of course the incentivized testnet that's attached to it. And so hopefully during the month of May, we'll do the first ever hard fork for the SSV network, and we'll talk in a few minutes about why are we doing hard fork and what it is. Once that hard fork passes successfully, we'll do another smaller hard fork, and that will set ground to the actual create or spinning off of the V2 testnet, which will include a lot of different changes and obviously followed by the incentivized testnet. So let's dig in. I'll let Lior explain the 2 hard forks, and then I'll talk about the rest of it, the testnet and so on and so forth. Lior?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm happy to be here on the community call. So in the couple last months, we've been working hard on this new network. So when we launched the first testnet, we were focused on the consensus mechanism, and we learned a lot from it, from the amount of operators had and the validators and the way we restructured our network. So we took all of that, analyzed it, and wrote a spec for the Network V2. Network V2 is preparing for mainnet, right? Like it's more security aware, performance aware, traffic usage. And we split it into 2 hard forks. In addition, it's practicing the first hard fork on the SSV network. So those 2 hard forks are going to come. One is during hopefully the end of this month, and the next one, the next month will actually bring us to working completely with the new network. it's kind of like the last milestone before being ready for the Testnet V2. And really good preparation for mainnet, right? Like to check security concerns and making sure that our network is secured. So the first hard fork introduces the new spec for the new network. We completely refactored the way the operator node processing the messages to be a more scalable and a more lightweight. For all of you that know the details on how this network work, there are decided messages when a committee of operators comes to agreement. Until now, we've been saving all the history of the messages. From the new hard fork, we will allow to have a light mode node that will sync actually only the latest message, and that will help to make sure that the operators are lightweight and not increasing in storage. Of course, there will be still opportunity to have a history node mode that saves all the history data that will be used for building explorers or everyone who wants to store the data along the way. So that's going to be the main and the biggest hard fork between the two. And the second hard fork will do just the cleanup and will really enable that. So I'm going to talk about the second one in a second. Alon, can you please change the slide? All right. So we released a piece on Medium about the differences between the first network and the second network. The main thing is that we're switching from having infinite number of validator subnets based on the amount of validators to a fixed number of consensus subnets. And that will allow for operators to be much more resilient and connected to less peers instead of needing to connect to all the peers they're relevant for them. And that will allow reducing the network usage and a faster propagation of data on the network, improving our performance and effectiveness of the validators' duties. And as well, we'll be enabling the peer scoring, which is basically a few sets of rules and algorithms that will prevent malicious actors on the network acting upon honest operators, which basically it allows operators to give score to each other based on their relationship and their performance. Yeah, so once the second hard fork will be about a week or 2 weeks after the first hard fork. So it's going to be 2 versions that the operators will need to update. We will have obviously a big announcement about it. Yeah, and after the second hard fork and based on the performance, we'll know whether we're ready for the network V2, the Testnet V2. Yeah. That's it.
So yeah, just a couple of words. The networking V2 spec is a really big change and something we've been working on for a while. It's basically taking everything we've learned the past year of the testnet running and implementing in such a way which is actually scalable and much more efficient. That's one of the big changes, both internally in the way we process messages within the node, but also the networking itself. And that's going to be a very big change. And so that really leads me to the second big thing before the next testnet, which is, what exactly is the V2 testnet? The V2 testnet basically takes all of the networking V2 that we've just talked about, and also adds the entire set of contracts V2, which basically manages all of the operators, validators, and now also introducing tokenomics into the testnet. And so those contracts are basically what manages the entire SSV network. Up until now, we've used very simple and rudimentary contracts, basically since day one. And now we finally have like the contracts which we'll also use in mainnet. And so those new contracts, what they'll do is you'll still be registering in validators and operators, as you know, but it will add the actual fee protocol into this relationship. So when a validator registers and picks up different operators, they will have to pay a fee for those operators. Obviously, in testnet, we'll use TSSV or test SSV, but in mainnet, that will be the actual SSV token. And everything will be managed exactly the same as it is in mainnet, just obviously with test tokens. That's the second very big project we've been working on for the past 6 months, which will come to a fruition in Testnet V2. So as you kind of maybe between the lines read, Testnet V2 is a big change, and it's a very big step forward for mainnet readiness. A few other things to kind of consider in Testnet V2. All of the verified operators in Testnet 1 will still be verified in Testnet 2. We'll have completely new UI and management, and more specifically management UI for both validators and operators. And so, for example, operators will see exactly the validators that chose them, how much they're earning, when they can withdraw assets, and when they can withdraw the actual earned TSSV, and of course change their fee and so on and so forth. Validators will see the same. So if you're registering multiple validators, all of a sudden you'll see beautiful UI to manage those validators, manage accounts, manage fees, change operators for the first time. And in addition, with all of that, anyone who kind of dug into the tokenomics knows that there's a new role in the network called liquidators. Basically, those are the ones responsible to go and find accounts which can no longer pay their fee to the operators and liquidate them. There's a whole documentation and spec around that, but it works very similar to how, for example, MakerDAO does liquidation and stuff like that. And so that's basically Testnet V2. As hopefully between the lines you can read that it's very much a huge step forward towards the mainnet. And that's something we've been working on for a while now. And alongside V2, we have a lot of work we're putting into building the ecosystem to also be ready for mainnet. And when I say ecosystem, I really mean, other than the community, the Discord, the DAO, I also mean how do we plan that ETH will flow into the protocol, and how will actually people use SSV, the SSV network. And our approach is very much to be developer first. We want to attract developers to build great services on top of SSV in order for them to use the technology to the fullest. And I definitely believe this approach will get us engagement, and will get us a lot of usage out of the network. And so, being developer first, we need to build the tools for the developers, build the documentation, build resources, and build examples for the developers to make their life very easy, and make them feel that there's an entire ecosystem and community behind them for any questions, for any challenges, and so on and so forth. I think this is really important. If you look today at Ethereum, one of the killer things in Ethereum, other than the technology and the Ethereum Foundation and all of that, Ethereum has a network effect when it comes to the network of developers developing on top of it, and it's very hard to compete with Ethereum because of that. And I think that's where we want to be. We want to get a lot of different developers building on top of SSV, and currently we're doing it in basically 3 ways. One is to build the foundation, which is the developer center, and I'll talk a bit about it now. Build the foundation, the tooling, and everything that the developer needs in order to quickly start building on SSV. Second is to approach and talk with as many projects as we can, introduce them to technology, and get them to start building on SSV. And the third one is to incentivize great projects to build via grants. And so grants, Fod will cover it in a second, and I'll talk about the developer center, which is crucial. It's a big project which aims to create the tools and make it as easy as possible for developer to get into our website, understand what we're doing and how quickly can they start developing on top of it. That's also one of the reasons why we need a strong testnet, because developers tend to build on testnet first. And that's also part of the reason why we need an incentivized testnet program in order to make sure that the testnet is viable and strong. So that's kind of as a side note, because everything is kind of interconnected. And so the developer center will do two things. One, it will have an entire array of different documentation and content and explanations, quick start guides, and all of that for developers to quickly start. But also it will include use cases and examples, so people can come in and see what they can do with SSV, get ideas, see actual code snippets, and start doing stuff and start POCing very, very quickly. And so this is kind of this whole new chapter in our website, which is developed we started developing it about a month and a half ago, and hopefully in the next month we'll be able to spin off a few teasers and stuff like that. But that's a real big project. It's led by Ariel. And the idea there is to have, again, if you are a developer and you ever went to a website like Stripe, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Stripe has an amazing user experience for developers, and that's where we are aiming for. I think that will bring us a lot of developers and success in adoption. And so that's the developer center, and that's a big project in its own. And that's basically from my end. The incentivized testnet, we haven't talked about it. I will probably do that in the next community call, but we do have on the forum an initial discussion of how the incentivized testnet should look like. So more than welcome to go and comment. And once we're more ready and get more feedback, we'll talk about it as well. But yeah, just kind of as a mental kind of image, this is the roadmap we're talking about. So within May, we'll have the first hard fork for the entire networking V2 spec. Early June, we'll have the second smaller hard fork that will prepare us to launch Testnet V2 towards the end of June, early July. And Testnet V2 includes the networking V2, includes the contracts V2 with the test SSV and the whole thing there. We'll launch the developer center along those dates as well. And right after that, once the next testnet is stabilized, we'll also kick off the incentivized testnet V2. That's kind of the plan for the next 3.5 months. Thank you.
Awesome. In the beginning, when I was saying we have a lot of updates, I really wasn't kidding. There's really a lot going on. Each one of us talking about a completely separate part of the network, and it all ties in under one umbrella of the network. So just to segue on what Alon just mentioned, the new website is going to contain all this information. We will also make sure that everything that Lior mentioned on the technical side will also be shared with the community. It's not easy to understand, in a 5-minute conversation. So that focus from the marketing side is paramount for us to make sure you guys understand what's going on. I mean, it's just as hard making sure everyone is updated as it is splitting the work between so many people. So it's all coming. We are scheduling a big release across multiple teams. When that happens, you'll get a better understanding of what's going on. Until then, one of our finest and brightest is working on perhaps one of the most important ventures or opportunities that we are trying to really solidify, and that's the grants program. So Fod's gonna give you the breakdown of what's going on. Take it away, man.
Hey everyone, good to be back on another community call. So let me share my screen here. Okay. Can everyone see this okay? All right. So I'm just going to be giving a quick overview of the grant program that we're kicking off. Real quick, just the motivation of it. Like Alon said, a lot of our strategy is to encourage developers to build on SSV because we're essentially an infrastructure. So the motivation behind this grant program is first and foremost to encourage developers to build on top of SSV. And beyond that, it's just to make the things that we know we need, both use cases and tools, and then to also innovate and make things that we don't really know that we need yet, but would be really useful for the project. And then also we have a bug bounty aspect of this to encourage people to detect security vulnerabilities. And so overall, grants are just a way to encourage developers and accelerate their work to add value to the project. So to give you a quick overview, this is basically split up into 3 parts. The first is predefined grants, and this is sort of the category where we know we need certain use cases and tools for the network, so we're just encouraging developers to go out and make them. So there's about $1.5 million allocated towards that in SSV and USDC. And these include things like staking services and interfaces for DeFi to add validators to the network. So it's heavily skewed towards things that will basically add additional validators to the network and increase the total value locked on SSV. But then there are also some other things, like, for example, explorers, different things that we know will be helpful for the community. So beyond that, then we have another allocation, which is open grants. And these are totally open-ended. It's basically any new thing that a team might think would be valuable to the project. Feel free to apply or reach out to us and discuss any ideas, whether they're larger innovative things or just much smaller scale things that might be helpful. And this is very open-ended, so we don't want to limit it at all. Anything that you think might be valuable, please bring to us. And again, this is $1.5 million, SSV and USDC. So we're allocating a large amount of money towards these efforts. And then lastly, the bug bounties. Obviously, security is paramount to this network and this whole project. So we want to encourage people to hammer on this and try to find any bugs if they might exist. We're allocating up to $3 million total for this, which will only be spent if needed. So if people find bugs and report them, then there will be rewards to them. But it will only be spent if that happens. And we're allowing up to 300,000 SSV to be minted for this. So to break down, how this will work, we basically formed a grant committee. So right now we have 5 different people from the community. You probably have all seen them around and are very familiar with them. Basically, our job is to mainly vote to award grants. So teams will apply and submit proposals, and we will review them, evaluate them, and vote to give them the money. Beyond this, we can also award small grants without a vote. So each of us has the ability to award $5,000 per month, or if 2 of us team up, we can award $15,000 per month. But overall, this is just a committee to talk about what's most valuable to the project, to move things forward, and then to sort of take ownership of making the decision to award money to teams. So how you apply? Short answer is you send applications to this email address here, grants@ssv.network. Beyond that, see the grant program proposal on the forum that's up there right now for additional details, and there's also a submission template. And then also feel free to reach out to me or the other committee members if you need help or just want to discuss ideas. And don't feel shy. Definitely, our doors are always open, and feel free to reach out and talk whenever you want. So beyond that, I basically made a quick Excel sheet just to start tracking things. And so as you can see, we basically have 4 proposals or 4 grants already in progress. And then we have a bunch more basically rolling in, and we hope that will be many more coming. We know there will be soon. And I'm not sure we're gonna make this public yet. We might, but we'll try to make our discussions and the progress of each of these things as public as we can and communicate to the community. So we'll just be tracking basically the deliverables of each grant, and then publishing information such as the payments we're making to them and anything that needs to be done to keep this moving forward. So if anyone has any questions or wants to discuss this at all, either post on the forum or reach out to us directly. All right, let's see.
Very cool. Just like the other things that we're working on, this will also be available on Notion. You will also be able to apply directly from there. Give us a few weeks, everything will be ready. There's a lot going on. Before we introduce the Master of Coins to go over everything that has to do with the treasury, for next time around, the next community call will be a great opportunity to talk about the testnets. So Ariel, the product, can show you exactly how we mapped it out and what you guys are going to expect. So the next time we meet will be all about the testnets, all about the technology, and all about showing you guys what we've been building over the past couple of months. So a lot is going to be rolled out in the next couple of weeks. Until then, Spooky G, Master of Coin.
Yeah, hey guys, Spooky G here. Just wanted to give a quick update on the treasury sheet. So hope you can see that.